Are you ready?
Mentally, sure.
Physically, the gurgles are there.
Yeah.
Already waiting to pounce at a moment's unnotice.
Right there at the base of my throat.
Yes. Ah, well, we'll fix it in post. That is, stick a post down your throat.
Oh, that wasn't my throat at all. Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin, and with me, as always, is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
I get to tell a story from the off year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in December of last year, I ordered a calendar from local semi-retired now political cartoonist John Kudelka, who only announced his semi-retirement accidentally at someone else's book launch. And ordered it online in order to have it delivered. And it didn't show up via Australia Post, bearing in mind that it's only a few kilometres away. It didn't show up for a month.
Yeah.
And so this year, I decided, not taking my chances, going to go and get it myself, and so I did. And I only took 2.5 hours, so once I'd picked it up from the place.
Right.
And maybe 3.5 hours total.
Uh-huh.
Which is somewhat better than a month.
Yeah. Somewhat, yes. So you walked home?
No. In some ways, actually cheaper than getting it delivered. In other ways, not. You know, if we're only considering transport costs as part of the shipping, then it only cost me a couple of bucks to get there and back.
Yeah.
I may have spent more along the way.
The journey was tiring and thus required sustenance.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did you come home via Eastlands?
I did.
Right.
Well,
no,
one must.
Yes.
You know, physically, if one is taking the bus.
Yes. But I suspect the wait between getting off one bus at Eastlands and getting on another was probably the length of an absorption of sustenance.
Possibly.
Yeah. Of the kernel variety. Do I know you or what? Hey, they are getting a KFC back in town.
Right.
When I say back in town, it's in the most bizarre of spots, diagonally opposite a private Catholic college.
Right.
Yes. So I guess for all the rich college kids to duck off at lunchtime.
It's not quite the CBD, is it?
No, it is not.
Which, with the McDonald's moving out of Cat and Fiddle, leaves that area somewhat bereft of the big two.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I mean, KFC were in there for a while.
Yeah.
But, yes, KFC has received approval, and it is a fairly lengthy walk from the CBD out. I suspect their rental will be somewhat less.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just isn't on the way through from anywhere. It doesn't make sense to me at all. Anyway, so you've got your calendar.
I have.
Is the January different from the January
It is different,
wow.
Yes.
What are you going to do? Are you going to run those parallel for a while?
Just not going to bother with the extra January on the 2024 calendar.
Oh.
It's a technical necessity.
Yeah.
12 months makes 24, which, 4 goes into 24, but then you don't have a front or back cover.
No.
You add those, you get to 26, which doesn't work, and so you have to add a January.
Yeah. So anything else in your exciting adventures today?
No.
No.
Sort of vaguely considered picking up other stuff and then didn't. It's sort of a fleeting thought.
Good.
Yeah.
Productive.
Yeah. In that I went out and did something.
You
yes.
did. Yes. You played courier for yourself.
Yeah. The pay was not good.
The exercise was, though.
Sure.
In the blistering Hobart heat.
Well, not necessarily blistering. I think it did get up to 24 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
I don't trust what is now the Uniting Agewell community hub thermometer just next to the intersection between Rosny Hill Road and Bly Street. What used to be a real estate place.
Oh, okay. That's not a real estate place.
It's not a real estate place anymore.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, they've even covered up the previous real estate place's signage on the thermometer, which read 30 degrees, which I didn't believe.
Well, if the actual sensor is on the very top of that building in direct sunlight, then yes, maybe, but no. that is nonsense.
Yeah, this was not a 30-degree day.
No.
Which I could tell because the shade actually worked in places.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my day, and all I can be bothered talking about with my week.
Okay.
What about you?
What about me? It's Plasma Donor Week, so did that and had a lot of fun. They're a good bunch in there. Big thumbs up to Hobart Lifeblood. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And I managed to fill another plasma bag.
Without significant incident?
No, I bleed quite well and managed to bleed quite well. And I grabbed my semi-traditional pizza from Medici's.
Right.
In the CBD. That was very nice. A chicken pesto or pesto chicken. I can never remember which way around those two go, but it was yummy. We're talking about food again.
Yeah.
Other than that, lots of sort of running around, getting things ready for something that's happening in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
Can't remember what that is. Oh, we're going on hiatus for for a couple of weeks. The
traditional summer hiatus.
Yeah.
It's just not worth bothering. The ratings, they're not counting them.
So I've really got nothing else to add. So let's get stuck into a movie that you have selected.
Yes.
That upon further reflection and investigating my movies database, I've realised that it was actually marked as a film that I wanted to revisit as well. Yeah. Which is what?
Which is Tomorrowland, which I am now quickly pulling up on Disney Plus in order to get a short summary.
The expurgated version.
Or even a slightly longer summary if I click details.
Ooh.
No, that's quite a bit longer.
All right then. Well, let's have the short.
Yeah, let's have the laconic summary.
Okay.
A jaded genius and an optimistic teen unearth the secrets of Tomorrowland.
Good.
Yeah?
They must start with a traditional blurb and then keep taking away words until they've still got a sentence that vaguely makes sense.
Yes.
And to the point where if they take one more word away, it no longer does.
I mean, you could take away a couple of the descriptors of the people, but...
True.
A genius and a teen unearth the secrets of Tomorrowland.
Good. That's what we're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. It's a fairly lengthy film, so we probably might just get stuck straight into it.
Yes.
So we will watch it, and then we'll come back and possibly talk about it a little bit. So we shall catch you on the flip side tomorrow.
Which might be side A.
It's all wibbly-wobbly. Land.
Yes.
Let's do it. You mongrel. So what did you think?
So the film's not bad. I'll say that from the off.
Yep.
It is a little long.
Yep.
And that's because it has a lot of ideas in it.
Yep.
For a film about the importance of having ideas, and going with them, it goes with too many ideas.
Yeah. One of my notes is, and I was trying to think as I was watching it, I'm getting this sense of deja vu, and then realised that last Friday with a family movie night we watched Drifting Home, which is a Japanese animation, a really, really good film as well. But I found with that particular film, it just had too many endings.
Right.
It was building up to an ending, and then you'd think, right, and then we'd build up another one, and okay, we're about to finish it. And by the time it did actually end, it became a bit of an anticlimax to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. Whereas this had, I guess, too much in the middle.
Yep.
But as with Drifting Home, each one of those endings was really good.
Yeah.
And in Tomorrowland, all of those things that made up the fact that this film was so long was really good. But something really did need to be painfully excised from it to just shorten it. And there were certainly things that could have gone, would have been painful to take because they were good ideas, but weren't necessary. The story could live without them.
We drive to the teleporter to teleport to the Eiffel Tower, to then use the Eiffel Tower to go somewhere else.
Yeah. And each one of those stages was wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
But when I say each one of those stages, the other note and it's quite a long note, and it, I guess, strays into other bits that I was wanting to mention, but I think as a whole, I found myself noting bits that were great but familiar. So we had the Rocketeer in there. Mm-hmm. With the trial and failure of getting a rocket pack to work, and done well, but it was Rocketeer. We had Charlie in the Great Glass Elevator, which, although doesn't feature much in any of the films, it certainly does in the book, Charlie in the Great Glass Elevator, the sequel too, which makes me wonder why they haven't bothered going in that direction.
Because well, first they made Roald Dahl sad.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Yes.
And then he was dead.
Yeah. But there was a very definite elevator that behaved like no elevator that person was stepping into had experienced before. Hitching a ride with the Vogons from Hitchhiker's Guide, with consuming something to make the shock of this less, and doing this and doing this and doing this to prepare. It's like being drunk. Well, what's wrong with that? Ask a glass of water type of deal.
Yeah. All of these bigger ideas also have smaller ideas in them.
Yeah. A Mysterious Benedict Society, where someone is manipulating people's thoughts and making them sad, basically. But I cannot tell you when the books for that came out, whether they came out before Tomorrowland was written or not. And Field of Dreams. Instead of a field of corn with people popping up out of it, you've got a field of wheat with people popping out of it. So all wonderful ideas, and I'm certainly not saying that they were stolen from the things that I've just listed, but those were the vibes that I was getting, and great vibes, but it did really need a strip down. Mm-hmm. Very much a case of kill your baby. I think that's the phrase.
Kill your darlings.
Kill your darlings, that's what it is. Yes, something needed to go, however painful that would have been to do so.
Visually stunning.
Yeah.
They nailed the look of Tomorrowland.
They did. And yeah, I was constantly amazed with how wonderful it looked, except for bits where it didn't look... There were certain scenes that looked rushed and unfinished. Mm-hmm. Just little bits, but one of them was fairly early on, and that was where young Frank found himself flying with his jetpack now working in Tomorrowland. That rear projection or whatever, it just didn't look right. Whereas other scenes where they had very similar flying sequences looked great. You felt in world, whereas... the particular scene where he was flying, it was artificial. It felt artificial. And whether that had anything to do with the fact that he was actually flying in an advert, Because the other thing that griped me was all of the crowd sequences during that felt artificial and pasted in, and then and then realizing a lot later, they are. This is
in context, they are.
Yeah, and I now am convincing myself that that was deliberate, that it wasn't quite real.
Going back to the Eiffel Tower,
yes,
or forward to the Eiffel Tower, I suppose. So they put the cylinder in the phonograph.
Yep.
It starts playing La Marseillaise.
Oui.
Yeah. And then we transition into music that is not La Marseillaise.
No.
Which was disappointing to me. Because it's like...
Okay.
It's clearly still playing over there. Can we, augment it with the score?
Uh-huh.
And it turns out that no, apparently we could not.
I guess maybe I don't know the piece of music well enough to know that it diverged from the original.
It did.
Right, fair enough.
It went in a completely different direction as soon as it faded away into something else.
Now, the soundtrack itself was Michael don't know how you pronounce his name. A number of his soundtracks I really, really do enjoy. What he did with Star Trek 2009, I thought was wonderful, whilst Thomas continues to hastily bring up that information.
Giacchino?
What? It is Michael...
Yeah, it is Giacchino, but...
Yeah, and he did do Star Trek?
He's known for his collaborations with J.J. Abrams, Brad Bird, Matt Reeves, Peter Docter, Colin Trevorrow, John Watts, Gareth Edwards, Drew Goddard, J.A. Bayona, the Wachowskis, Taika Waititi, and Thomas Bezucha.
Oh yeah, he has been quite prolific.
Recent Mission Impossible films, Jurassic World, a bunch of MCU.
Yeah.
Star Trek,
yeah. But I found this sort of anemic and there was no piece that really, I guess, stuck in my head. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of his soundtracks have something that sort of sticks, motifs. Mm-hmm. But I'm quite sure that there were motifs in this, and I certainly have in my head certain notes, but not full motifs from this. So I found that a little disappointing, but other than that, sounded really great. The sound of the whole film very much matched the images, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Apart from its length, and it wasn't hard to watch.
No.
It just was long when it possibly didn't really need to be. Mm-hmm. Other than the fact that we've just got so many great ideas and we don't want to lose any of them.
Yeah.
So.
The ending montage almost got me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Because it edged very dangerously close to twee, I guess. And I suspect that a lot of people who were watching it in the cinema at the time that this film was released was certainly feeling that. Mm-hmm. But I think the crunch has come a little more since 2015. It's heading on to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And a lot has sort of gone down, or gone down since then. So... It's very relevant.
The ideas in this film are not just visual. There are also some philosophical ideas. And I think enough for the film to support in comparison to the visual ideas. It's not subtle about its message.
Oh, no. No, it's not. It's not subtle, but it also tries to play it safe that we don't want to completely alienate our audience with having to think about things either. So in some places almost feeling like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. It was, I guess, more thinky than I suspect many of the audience who went to go see it were expecting.
I'm listening to David, Hugh Laurie's character.
Yeah.
I'm like, none of what you're saying is specifically wrong.
No, that's right. The 10-year gap is prophetic, basically. Yeah. Gosh, he did a good job in this.
Oh, yeah.
As did George Clooney. He acted in this well. I didn't get that feeling of him just going through the motions. I think he grabbed this and the role, as did the older teenage girl whose name eludes me, character-wise.
Casey.
Yeah.
Who was not a teenager, 25 at the time of filming.
Yeah, was convincing though.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that wasn't convincing was her sleeping in the same bedroom as her younger brother, though. Within the house that the exterior shots were.
Yeah.
The girl who played the android I found quite variable. Moments where she absolutely nailed what would have been a fairly difficult role.
Yeah.
But other times where didn't quite work for me. But I'm being picky now.
Well, it's a character that isn't quite sure herself where she sits.
True. I really like that.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten. I think I gave the impression last week that I think I enjoy this.
Yeah.
And I think I still do. I do enjoy this. And if you've got Disney Plus and you haven't seen it, I encourage you to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, grab some popcorn and some, I don't know, what do you grab when you need to start thinking about world issues? Tissues? World issue tissues. There we go.
Grab a pen and paper.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else you wish to say about Tomorrowland?
No.
No.
No, I'm going to go with no.
I'm going to just double check my notes. Oh, I just had the random. The very, very first note that I wrote was, the bag has heft. Just to explain, you see in many, many films somebody who is carrying something that supposedly has weight, but you can tell that it doesn't. Well, there was a particular bag that a kid is carrying through a fair portion of the first bit of the movie, and never once did I think that, oh, that's just got foam in it.
Yep.
There was something heavy in it, and he was having to deal with that, and I'm so glad that that was the case. It seems odd that I recognise that because it's usually me being taken out of the film when I see a bag without heft. That usually takes me out of the film. So much so that the fact that the bag had heft briefly took me out of the film. but as soon as it clicked with me, I just thought, thank you. Yeah. Random, I know. Oh well, it's how I roll. All right, if you have nothing else to say.
That appears to be accurate.
Yep. I think we shall move on then.
The following segment has no title. Thank you. And we will start on a different Discord than usual. With Black Rose Duelist.
Hi, Black Rose Duelist.
Irregular contributor to these untitled segments. Does occasionally pop in.
I'm grateful for your popping of inness.
I'm going to read this exactly as it was written.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Tant. I watched Tron Legacy recently, and the entire time I was thinking about the Cellulose Free episode. I'm diseased.
Good. Okay. I'm trying to cast my mind back to our episode on Tron Legacy, and yeah,
visually stunning but plot-wise disappointing, and I think perhaps a bit long.
Oh, okay.
I haven't gone back to listen to the episode, but I'm pretty sure that's what we'll have said.
Whereas, I guess, in my mind, all it can conjure up is, I like that film.
Yeah.
Like I like Tomorrowland. So, who knows?
The Daft Punk soundtrack is excellent.
Yes. And I think I said, without that soundtrack, it would have been half a film.
Yeah.
And
I'm very interested to see what Reznor and Ross come up with for Tron Ares, if I can get myself past the Jared Leto of it all.
I know. I'm dreading it.
Yeah.
I really am.
Reznor Ross have made an incredible array of soundtracks, and hopefully it uplifts the film.
Yep.
Over on Facebook, Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Says, I wonder what, of what we do today, will be unacceptable in 75 years' time. Do you realise that 1949 is 74 years ago? I'm not sure I'll pursue a watch of this movie.
That did give me pause for thought as far as, I mean, I mentioned last week that certainly as a kid growing up that Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo was well and truly within my cultural framework, used as a method of picking things, and that was what it is. No more thought was given to it. But I also grew up in a time where buses had a smoking and a non-smoking space. You know, if you wanted to smoke, you'd smoke up the back, I guess, with the thought that any air that's flowing through the bus would be flowing backwards. I don't know, but you'd certainly, even if you were sitting in the very, very front, if there's even a couple of people smoking in the back of the bus, you would smell of cigarette smoke getting out of the bus. That concept, at least in Australia, well and truly unheard of these days. Airline flights as well.
Yeah.
Smoking on airline. What else did I come up with? Oh, I certainly remember as a child travelling in many, many cars without seatbelts because we never had new cars. And certainly when I was young, seatbelts were being well and truly introduced, particularly in the front seats of cars. But back seats of cars, no. You'd have station wagons where the baby would be put into a baby's basket and stuck in the back of the station wagon. And kids would travel in the backs of station wagons. And
we saw multiple vehicles tonight with no front seatbelts, or at least none that were being used.
Yeah. So as far as cultural things are concerned, it's kind of very strange. Something random just came up. I certainly grew up in a time where we were taught and firmly believed that different sections of our tongue tasted different things.
Right.
You'd have a map of the tongue, and these bits would be for tasting sweet, and this bit would be for tasting salty, and so there we go.
Helen concludes, as for small talk, I am reminded of Pete Dennehy's song Sort of Dunno Nothing.
We shall put a link. It's very much an Australian cultural icon, I guess. Yes, very much nails the whole small talk thing with a huge dose of parent trying to talk to teenager kind of small talk. Thank you, Helen.
Back on the usual Discord, Gertrude Perkins.
Hi, Gertrude Perkins.
Still no idea if he listens to the podcast.
Don't know.
Made no indication one way or the other. Says of Kind Hearts and Coronets, that is a hell of a film.
Well, I'm very impressed that we have someone within either the listening or the periphery community that is familiar with the film.
Which, with a contribution on YouTube from M.
Hi, M.
Will take us up to the guesses.
It will.
We will start with Helen, who will take a guess of Kudhud Krunt, KDHTCRNT, while being all self-congratulatory on account of my arbitrary point from last week.
Yeah. Look, I almost said, yes, well done, but I'm not going to. You got your congratulatory message last week.
And M goes with Hoot and Krunt, HRTNCRNT.
Right. Similar.
Similar.
But different.
Equally wrong.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly the same number of correct letters.
Yes, indeed.
You did not go with either of those.
I did not. In fact, I did not go anywhere near either of those.
What you did do was you took the 1 8-letter word from the title and you used that.
Yes.
It's just coronets.
I did. Yeah. Timing and brain cells were of the essence, and that's what got spat out as I span the dial selecting letters. So no arbitrary points are going out today. I am going to show Thomas what the file name for this week's is. Don't read too much into that.
That is close to what I was guessing it might be. But yes, based on what you usually do, that makes more sense.
Oh, spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh. So if you want to have a guess as to what file name I have used for today's episode's recording file, please do so in the usual places that are mentioned in the show notes and in our closing credits.
And also any other sorts of commentary, film suggestions, thoughts on this film, Anything, really.
Your favourite taste sensation? Sweet, sour?
Umami?
Umami? All right, then. I think we'll move on.
Yes.
Pick a film
For next week.
so we can
Go to bed. And it is your turn.
Oh, that's right. It's my turn.
It is your turn.
Oh.
And I believe this will be your last film of the year.
It will. And I'm thinking of getting a little festive.
That sounds like something that we do.
It does sound like something we can do, but I think it's a festive film that you have not seen.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think you have. So, it stars Nicolas Cage.
Right.
You have a Nicolas Cage movie that's ostensibly a Christmas movie. Do you know what it is?
No.
Right, okay. I'm going to read some plot and some synopsis and see how you go. What if you made a different choice? You said yes instead of no. You got a second chance.
I might have seen this, actually.
Oh, really?
Of my own volition at some point.
Nick, a high-powered, high-living Wall Street bachelor, finally gets to experience one of life's big questions. What if? What if he had married his college sweetheart? What if he had become a father? What if he had never moved out of the suburbs? What if he had chosen love instead of power?
I can't remember what it's called, though.
It's Christmas Eve, and as usual, Nick is working late. Alone in his clinical Manhattan penthouse, he falls asleep and wakes up the next morning in a chaotic, suburban New Jersey house with a wife and 2 children.
It's not called Next. That's a different Nicolas Cage movie
it
with
is
time
not.
messing about, which I haven't seen.
Oh, haven't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's...
Well, in this, it's a life he had always feared and dreaded. But in his attempts to fathom the mystery and escape from this seismic shift, Nick makes the biggest discovery of all. Maybe he chose the wrong path in life. But it might just be too late to alter the destiny that awaits him.
It's not Click. That's Sandler.
Okay, I'm going to have to tell you.
Yeah.
This is The Family Man.
Right.
I don't think he would have got it. I think I do get the vibe that he has actually seen it, unless he hasn't. Who can say? I guess we will find out next week when we sit down and watch The Family Man, ostensibly a Christmas movie. We'll find out, and we hope that you can join us. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
The thing is, there's sort of a lot of films along this sort of lines, isn't there?
Yeah. Sliding Doors. That was another one that I haven't seen. That's one I haven't seen that I wouldn't mind seeing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, good thing you're recording this so you can note it down later.
I can. I will
Yeah.
note that down later. I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Stopping now.